name is Meg, and I am the Animal Care Manager here at Animal Place. Welcome to the third annual Farmed Animal Conference, E-Summit. I'm here with Myrna right now, and Myrna is one of 17 pigs that lives in our growth pig barn. And she and her siblings were actually born to their mother Rita several years ago after she jumped off of a transport truck. And she ended up here with all of her babies. A few have gone to another sanctuary, and the rest of them are all growing up here together. So thank you everyone for joining us, and hope you enjoy the E-Summit.
Hi, and welcome to the Farmed Animal Conference E-Summit. My name is Kelsey Leach, and I'm your host today, calling in from Animal Place in Grass Valley, California. I'm so excited to introduce you to our next guest, Naomi Hallum. Naomi is the CEO of Generation Vegan, also known as Gen V, and this is the organization behind the $1 Million Vegan campaigns, and they recently donated their millionth vegan meal globally. Although born and raised in Liverpool, England, Naomi spent a portion of her life in Spain and now resides in California with her husband, their daughter, and their 2 rescue dogs. Naomi worked in corporate marketing and events for 15 years before transitioning to a vegan lifestyle after watching the documentary Cowspiracy. She then pivoted her career towards endeavors aimed at creating a better world for all through vegan advocacy. She worked for the Dean Ornish Reversal Program, the Angiogenesis Foundation, Animal Charity Evaluators, and Veganuary before joining Generation Vegan. She has helped expand the organization's outreach to over 20 countries. Through Gen V, Naomi hopes that she and her diverse and multicultural team can empower people from all walks of life to make a profoundly positive impact on the world through diet change. We also want to extend our deep gratitude to Gen V for generously sponsoring this event. We're so excited to have you, Naomi. Welcome to the Farmed Animal Conference E-Summit.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, and we're excited to see your presentation today. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to you and we can get started.
Sounds good. Thank you. Hi, so on behalf of Generation Vegan, I'd like to present to you a talk on connecting with non-vegans through film. So first of all, who are we? Generation Vegan is a non-profit dedicated to educating people about the environmental, ethical, personal, and public health benefits of adopting a vegan lifestyle. We offer free nutritional guidance and support for people who are new to veganism. We provide free plant-based meals to essential workers and underserved communities in over 20 countries. We run $1 million challenges that make headlines all over the world. And we film and publish videos in 6 different languages, inspiring people to become vegan. With our video production capabilities, social media networks, website and online vegan challenges, Gen V strives to deliver an entire process that guides our audience from their first discovery of the issues around what we eat, right through to support and guidance as they embark on their vegan journey. We build partnerships with other individuals, activists, organizations, sanctuaries, expert educators, and influential people to share stories and maximize our reach. And every time we produce a new film, we add to an evergreen library of videos that will serve our movement, we hope, for years to come. So what's our story? Well, we launched as $1 Million Vegan in 2019 with a flash campaign that challenged Pope Francis to fight climate change with diet change by going vegan for Lent in return for a $1 million donation to the charity of his choice. And the campaign, which was supported by Sir Paul McCartney and Woody Harrelson and many other well-known names, made headlines all around the world and linked dietary choice to the many serious environmental crises that we face. In January 2020, we launched our second challenge and offered the US president a $1 million donation to veterans charities if he went vegan for January. The Make America Healthy Again campaign had the backing of some of America's leading medical doctors, including Dr. Ornish, Dr. Esselstyn, and Dr. Kim Williams. And in conjunction with this campaign, we filmed over 100 individuals across the US with inspiring vegan transformation stories. Some of those were health transformations, but many of those were mindset transformations as well. And over the course of just 6 weeks, those videos motivated more than 125,000 people to go plant-based. And that's when I came to understand the amazing power of rhetoric and personal stories in vegan advocacy. Then came the coronavirus pandemic, which changed everything, including us and our capabilities for filming. We launched as a global food solidarity campaign to take pandemics off the menu and help those most impacted by the virus. And over the next 2 years, we donated 1 million meals instead. We focused on working with other social justice campaigners and movements, and together we shared more widely the many positive reasons for adopting a plant-based diet. Then in August 2022, we officially rebranded in recognition of the multiple different strands of our work and our renewed commitment to the more intersectional approach. That's when we became Generation Vegan, as we are known today. Take a look. This video, which kind of is created around our new tagline, Unite, Disrupt, Transform, sums up our ethos and approach. It is deliberately inclusive, bold, and aspirational, as these are the characteristics that make up who we are today. Okay.
We are Generation Vegan. We unite. We embrace differences within the vegan movement and work alongside other social justice advocates. Our belief in equality means that respect for all human and non-human diversity is fundamental. As a global community with natives of different cultures, nations, and languages, we are committed to inclusivity.
We disrupt. In a world where violence and oppression are systemic, we are here to show that respect, integrity, and harmony are disruptive. Innovation and creativity are the tools we use to bring light to the many injustices caused and deliberately hidden by animal exploiting industries.
We transform. Veganism is our vision of a just world where respect can unite every sentient being and disrupt any form of oppression. Our purpose is to become the generation that brings veganism for all.
We are creating a vegan world. We can all be Gen V.
Find your reason at genv.org.
Okay, hope you like that little video. So next I want to tell you my story. When I was just 14 years old, I saved 13 lives. I remember very vividly that fateful day when I arrived at the local fairground. I remember the rows of caravans on the grass, the sweet smell of cotton candy and greasy fried onions, the colourful lights and the excited screams of children being spun around and round on the waltzers. I had no idea of the horrors that lay ahead, just moments into my future. The first thing I noticed was the fearful, frantic look in their eyes, in the eyes of a group of individuals that were very much not enjoying the festivities, in the wide, innocent eyes of dozens of individuals who had suddenly become trapped and were barely able to breathe. I was suddenly as terrified as they were. I knew instinctively that I had to help them, that I had to figure out how to help them, and that I had to act fast. My heart was racing, but my mind was clear. Had it not been, many lives would have been lost that day. I saved 13. This is the beginning of the story of how I saved 13 goldfish from a fairground in the UK when I was just a child, and how the horror of seeing individuals trapped in water-filled plastic sandwich bags connected me to animals in a way that only instinct can. If you felt compelled to hear the rest of that story, then you can already appreciate the power of a story well told. At our heart, Generation Vegan is a team of creative storytellers with an expertise in crafting emotional, educational, and engaging stories about veganism and animal rights. As a mission-driven brand, we provoke essential conversations about what's happening now and what's possible when we change. It's not enough to simply create awareness of the reasons for veganism. Through creative and disruptive filmmaking, we need to inspire people of all identities to take action on behalf of animals, the planet, and both their own health and well-being of people around the world. Video is now the most essential format for engaging audiences on social media, and according to a global survey of predominantly English-speaking nations by VOMAD and a survey of by Censo Vegano in Mexico, online videos, video clips seen on social media, and feature-length documentaries comprise 3 of the 4 most effective ways to motivate people towards a vegan lifestyle. Over the last 3 years, Gen V have produced and published over 250 original videos in 7 different languages, from educational speeches and story-driven exposés to animal rescues and powerful human testimonials. While the results of individual videos have been varied, we've amassed tens of millions of views from around the world, sparking thousands of life-changing conversations and pledges to go vegan. So here's just a snapshot of the data that was compiled through the 2019 VOMAD Global Survey, which was done of 12,814 vegans from 97 different countries, 74% of which were English speaking. Personal stories of what made someone go vegan, such as Gary Yourofsky's speech, James Aspie's speech, and Earthling Ed's famous speeches, were repeatedly credited for inspiring people to go vegan, as well as videos exposing the realities of animal farming. This data here was compiled through the Censo Vegano survey in Mexico of 3,316 vegans, Spanish speaking. And as you can see from that purple block there, the lion's share, or 53% of all survey participants, had watched, heard, or read something online that inspired them to go vegan. And when we delved deeper into that data, it was personal testimonials and animal farm investigations, which were again credited for inspiring the most people to want to go vegan. In addition to analysing external studies, we've also compiled data of our own, Gen V data that indicates that most people go vegan for ethical reasons. That 81% of our own vegan signups or conversions came through our social media channels. That YouTube has the highest conversion rate of all of our social media channels. That 72% of our conversions were driven by video content. And surprisingly, that 51% of all our engagement, 53% of all our views, and 40% of all clicks through to the website from the 250 plus videos that we shared on our channels were generated by just 10% of all the videos we produced. So what did this top performing 10% of our videos have in common? Well, all of these videos were around 3 to 5 minutes long. They all featured regular people, and by this I mean none of the videos featured experts or educators, but rather everyday people from a diverse range of backgrounds who were sharing a journey or an experience in a very sincere and unmediated way. From the stories of how an avid hunter became a vegan, and how a woman battled a terminal cancer diagnosis with a plant-based diet, to the experience of being a vegan parent, to the experience of 2 activists who were able to connect homophobia with speciesism and have empathy for animals in that way. The amazing power of rhetoric and personal stories in vegan advocacy can be attributed to all of these videos. And that's just a snapshot that I'm showing you of those videos there, all of which can be viewed on our YouTube channel. The one of those which may look slightly distinct to the others was the investigation inside a KFC flagship farm. That was an expose, but it was our best performing expose, not by a short stretch, but by absolute miles. It's one of the biggest performing videos that we've ever put out. And I believe it's because it's a journey that you go on with an individual that you can relate to, with an individual that isn't passing judgment. He's just telling you what he sees as he sees it, how it makes him feel, and how it motivates him to want to seek change and create a kinder world. And I just think it was the delivery of his story of walking into a KFC flagship farm and seeing the suffering of chickens there that really endeared itself to the millions of viewers that it did. So now let's delve a little bit deeper into the effectiveness of telling stories through film. So words have the power to invoke a feeling, relive a memory, and inspire change. In vegan advocacy, the rhetoric we choose can make or break the conversations we're having. To advocate for a vegan world is to connect with people we don't know and persuade them to reevaluate their choices. So using the aspects of rhetoric can enhance our vegan advocacy efforts in many ways. And here's a quote that I thought was quite pertinent here from Gautama Buddha. Whatever words we utter should be chosen with care, for people will hear them and be influenced by them for good or ill. That's why at Gen V, we're very particular about the words we use on social media and in our advocacy, because using the wrong words can have a negative effect on people. And there's too much suffering in the world to kind of make those sort of errors. So when you have limited time with your audience, which is always the case on social media and often the case in real life too, what I've seen shows me that we're far more likely to inspire people towards making changes with personal stories rather than numbers. This means sharing stories of how animal agriculture or eating animal products has affected someone from their personal perspective, rather than, trying to lecture someone or tell them how it will affect them if they continue to do it. This also means staying away from statistics and medical jargon, and also from videos with an obvious agenda. My belief is that we should appeal to others with straightforward language, sincere storytelling, and inclusive, relatable content. Using the aspects of rhetoric can enhance our advocacy efforts in these cases. And here's a quote from Jacqueline Novogratz that I felt was very pertinent here as well. The job of the moral leader, which is the job of all of us, is to learn to tell the stories that matter, stories that unite and inspire, reinforcing our individual and collective potential and painting a picture of the future that we can build and inhabit together. So what are the modes of rhetoric? Aristotle defined rhetoric as the ability to see what is possibly persuasive in every given case. There are three modes of rhetoric: ethos, logos, and pathos. Ethos is the ethical appeal and plays to the speaker's credibility. You can enhance your ethos by using terms your audience will understand. Logos uses reasoning to convince your audience. Pathos uses the audience's emotions to persuade them, which can be accomplished through personal stories. When shooting videos, recording interviews, or telling stories, Gen V can use all three aspects of rhetoric to advocate effectively and motivate non-vegans to change their habits. Think about the most impactful vegan advocacy films, interviews, or lectures you've ever watched. There are a large number of speeches that come to my mind, a large number of activists that I've heard speaking, or personal stories that I've heard relayed. But right now, one that stands out to me as I'm giving this talk is the TED Talk by Damien Mander. You probably know the one I'm referencing. It's called Modern Warrior. If you haven't seen it, please Google Damien Mander TED Talk and prepare to be very moved. In effective testimonial videos, videos in which personal stories of transformation are told, the subject of the video will usually begin by gaining the acceptance, trust, and intrigue of their audience. They demonstrate that this is neither a lecture or an appeal, it is simply their story told through their eyes. In this particular speech, Damon Manda states, "Ladies and gentlemen, today I feel a great sense of responsibility in speaking to you on behalf of those that never could. Their suffering is my grief, my motivation." The storyteller will also intrigue the audience by providing a snippet of what's to come. Often a film editor can do this by choosing an engaging and or alluding clip from the interview they filmed and beginning the video with it. Once the audience is open and at ease, they deliver their message first through an appeal to feelings, perhaps by telling you about something moving, such as Damien Manda does when he tells us the story of coming face to face with an injured pregnant buffalo in Zimbabwe who dies before his eyes before delivering her dead calf. And then they deliver their message through an appeal to duty or responsibility, but through personal storytelling. So in Manda's case, he admits, "In a few days, my son is going to be born. I find myself wondering, what kind of world is he entering?" And finally, there's an appeal to beliefs. Manda says, whether it's eating less meat, contributing to the fight against poaching, or speaking up for the voiceless, we all have choices. And small changes in our lives mean big changes in others. So next time you have an opportunity to make a difference for animals, will you be brave enough? So finally, I'd like to show you a powerful vegan advocacy film. It's an honest and inspiring example of potent storytelling in action. The film features disabled vegan actor and activist James Moore from the UK. We haven't released his film on our channels yet, but I already know it will be effective in touching people's hearts and minds. I know this because it's a tried and tested form of advocacy through storytelling. I also know this because it's a moving and motivational example of vegan rhetoric. I know this by looking at our past data, but most of all, I know this simply because when I watched it, I actually shed a tear. I hope you enjoy watching it now, but most of all, I hope it inspires you to seek and share more stories like it and to truly realize the power of effective vegan advocacy through film.
So similarities when you see how people treat disabled people and how they treat animals. So my name's Jason. I'm an actor. I'm on Emmerdale at the moment from when I was really young. When I really struggled with walking and education and stuff like that, and being told that I couldn't do certain things because of my disability. And then growing up and becoming an adult and then gaining independence and realizing actually they were wrong. And I wanted to sort of overcome, not even if it's something I have to overcome, because it's not. It's just something that I have. And I'm not overcoming my disability. What I'm overcoming is the stigmatization of other people towards my disability and how that affected me. Not my actual disability itself, but their treatment of me and people like me. I've been vegan for a few years, so I don't really think about it now. But when I was going through that shift, I woke up feeling good, better for you. Personally, health-wise, it's better for the planet, and it's better for, obviously, the animal too. And I feel like we've evolved past the need to consume any animal. A lot of ableism is like almost all prejudices, racism, transphobia, homophobia, born of ignorance. And it's easier than taking the time to get to learn something. And of course, there are similarities when you see how people treat disabled people and how they treat animals. There's always been species that society, almost as long, or maybe even longer, and there's been ableism. We just didn't always have words for this, but they've always existed. It's a really painful, horrible moment where you realize, actually, this animal that I love for and care for dearly and feed is not unlike that other animal that I have chunks of in my fridge. Sometimes you kind of have to bridge the gap in your head to realize that actually it's hard, but it's still the truth. And at least by confronting it and acknowledging it, only then can we really do anything to change it. Being disabled overall has definitely given me more empathy in general, because I did how nasty people can be, and I built up a certain level of tolerance to these things through self-deprecation and other means. But I think it has given me more empathy, and I think has affected the way I look at other people and now as a species by being vegan and having that. Because I've seen some of that injustice myself and some of that cruelty with it, by seeing the way I've been treated by some people, having been kind of marginalized, not objectified and called names, laughed at. And when I see it happening to other people, for what who? Or even another animal, I feel obliged to speak up. Because if it was me back in the day, I would have wanted someone to speak up for me. So it's almost the least I can speak.
I hope you enjoyed that film. Kind of brings me towards the end of what I wanted to say today. But just going back to our tagline, Unite, Disrupt, Transform, what we're trying to do here is to unite people, because there's more that we share in common than that differentiates us. And if we can use those commonalities to unite vegans and non-vegans alike, then perhaps we can start to make more progress. Disrupt, we have a system that is broken that we need to disrupt. And the only way that we're truly going to be able to do that is if we become more effective at advocacy. So it's really important to always analyze what we do, look at the data, be receptive to feedback and criticism, and to adapt our strategies accordingly. As I said earlier, we've put out 250 plus videos, 10% of which have generated the majority of our engagement and our conversions. So, a lot of the work we've done in the past has not been effective or has not been an efficient way of advocating for veganism. So going forward, we, want to look at what works. That's not to say it will always work. We always need to analyze and adapt. But right now, what we know works is what we're going to continue to do. And that's just tell these unifying and inclusive stories through film. And transform, the last word in our tagline. We need to transform mindsets. We need to transform systems. We need to transform the world into a kinder, more compassionate place. And we can only do that together by working effectively, by being intersectional and putting out messages that everybody can relate to, that everybody can find a bit of themselves in, that people want to engage with, that doesn't feel preachy and like a lecture and like going to school, that kind of entertains and educates at the same time. So we're here to unite, to disrupt, to transform. And I believe that the vegan movement can do that very effectively through rhetoric, storytelling, and films. Thank you.
Naomi, that was a wonderful presentation. And I know you said it was powerful, but the video by James Moore, it absolutely had an impact. And I think it was the perfect example of the power of video. There was something that he said that made me think about what you were teaching us in your presentation. And you talked about the importance of the language we use. And he referenced what most people call meat as chunks of animal in the fridge. And that really stood out to me because it helps make the connection between what people see as food and the animal. It's the flesh of the animal. Right. So is that a good example of the language we use that you referenced in?
Absolutely. And as you and I know, there's a real disconnect, real dissociation between most people in society and the food that they eat. Yes. They see it as completely separate to the animal. It's like at Easter when people celebrate lambs by also eating lamb. They don't see those two things as the same thing. And I think, that's obviously been the design of the meat industry to separate the idea of the individual from the food on the plate. And it's our job to kind of pull that curtain back, as it were, and use language that reconnects people with the choices that they make. So yeah, chunks of an animal in the fridge, it would be the correct way to reference meat, and always making sure that we refer to animals as, them, a who, an individual. It's become quite common in society to use words like it, and they, and words that other the non-human animals. So yeah, language is really, really important. And if we also use language that's confrontational, we can kind of shut people down to our messaging as well. So I think although there are comparisons to be made and words to be used to try and give clarity to what we do to animals, I think there are also a lot of words out there that only serve to antagonize our audience. So I think, we need to also strike a balance between what's going to endear people to our message and what is potentially going to repel them away from it.
Absolutely. I always like to remind people to have compassion when educating or just, talking to people. Maybe it's someone in your life or someone you don't know, but having compassion for them and where they're at. with, the goal of educating is always really important, but it gets you a lot farther if you're willing and able to have, a conversation that both people feel heard.
Yeah, absolutely. And to ask questions, I think a lot of us go in all gung ho, like with a lot of information we want to share in a short amount of time. As I said, we don't often have a lot of time to get out what we want to say. And I think it's important to take that step back and to try and ask some questions to assess where, our audience is in their journey. I think we make the assumption that nowadays that everybody knows milk comes from a pregnant cow, right? Or everybody knows that protein can be found in plants. But I think if we took a step back, we'd actually be just surprised to know that really people still generally don't know that sort of thing. So we need to kind of reel it in, ask more questions, explain our own circumstances, and see how far that gets us. I think it'll get us a lot further than kind of just lecturing people.
Absolutely. I think that's a wonderful piece of advice. And I have one more question for you. You talked about your story with saving the 13 individuals, and you were right. At the end of that, I was like, who did she save? I want to know more. And that was so short, but it got me hooked, and I wanted to learn more. Would you advise people to create short videos like that, or is it more effective to share a 3 to 5 minute video that's been produced and we know that it will have an impact on people?
Well, from our own analytics, we've seen kind of different response to different video lengths. So shorter videos tend to work better when they're either kind of revelatory or immediately revelatory or entertaining. So a video where you see a huge industrial fishing net pulling millions of fish out the ocean serves to kind of go, wow, like immediately you see that you're kind of impacted by it. Or a rescued chicken walking on grass for the first time. Those kind of things create an immediate reaction. Those short videos work well. They don't tend to drive as many conversions as our longer form videos do, but they do serve to spark an interest. So what we see after those shorter videos is more follows, more people kind of paying attention, right? There's something interesting here. I've learned something. I'd potentially be interested in learning more, but I don't want to commit. So I think there's definitely a place for shorter form content. But when it comes to conversions, by far we see videos that average 4 minutes and that kind of take people on a journey, have more of an impact in kind of embedding almost a decision in people along the way that, first they're like, I'm interested in this. Then it's like, I empathize with this message. And ultimately, by the 4 minute mark, they've decided that they want to do something to help. So yes, in terms of conversions, 4 minutes is the average length of videos that are largely turning people towards our Go Vegan challenges.
Well, that's awesome. I think this is such a helpful tool because there are so many videos that people can share. And I know obviously Gen V has so many educational videos. So Naomi, I really appreciate you being here. How can people follow your work and Gen V's work?
Well, we're at genv.org and we're on all the popular social channels. Gen V at Instagram, Generation Vegan on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You can see all of our videos there, and also a lot of just the educational posts that we put out. But we do work with an in-house video team, and we also work with ad hoc with video editors around the world. We have a really global network. So we're also, very much open to if you have a story that you think needs to be told, or a person's journey that should be, shared with the world, that you think will inspire others towards a vegan lifestyle, let us know, and maybe we can help to bring together a crew that can film and edit it and produce it and put it out into the world.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I can say from personal experience, it is wonderful to follow Gen V and the work you all are doing. And I would also encourage our viewers to follow along. So thank you, Naomi. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you for being at the conference.
Thank you so much, Kelsey. I appreciate it.